All right, we are live, everybody.
Officially.
Welcome. We're so blessed to have you here with us. We were talking with those of us who are here live, Nancy, and I feel like the party's starting as we see everybody start coming into the room. And so for those of you joining us via recording, you can catch that vibe of the beauty of here we are together,
Yeah.
the play of soul.
And we were also talking about how to tune in a little bit into this experience through the use of essential oils. And we share a few essential oils that we enjoy, bringing that energy into the field, the energy of joy, the energy of trust. And so let's start with our candle lighting to enter the soul field, to prepare ourselves to enter the soul field. And this is a moment to welcome all of you, the ones that are here live and the ones that are joining us in the recording, and to hold a space for those that are needing a moment, that are needing our energies. Let's just welcome their spirits, their energies into the soul field. And whatever you need to release and have it held, put it in the portal of divine perfection. Leave it there permanently or temporarily, or have it transform, whatever it is that you need to have transform. Just let's set it there. So take a second to enter, to feel yourself dropping into the soul field.
We come with grateful, reverent, and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. As we dive into the soul field together, we are held within a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. In this eternal now, we actively invoke our unique pathways to source and the beings of love light that support our divine unfolding. We allow our mind, body, spirit to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and to our family humanity. We recognize we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow all we do here today to ripple out through our lives as a living witness of divine grace for the benefit of all our relations.
Venimos con corazones agradecidos, reverentes y abiertos a beber del profundo pozo de nuestra naturaleza eterna. A medida que nos sumergimos juntos aquí en el campo del alma, somos sagradamente acogidos por la fuente de todo amor, luz y gracia divina. En este ahora eterno, pedimos que se abran nuestros caminos hacia el Creador, junto con los seres de amor y luz que apoyan nuestra evolución divina. Permitimos que nuestra mente, cuerpo y espíritu se expandan hacia los reinos sagrados, donde la magia y los milagros ocurren constantemente. A medida que atendemos nuestras propias necesidades, asimismo atendemos el uno al otro y a toda nuestra familia humana, reconociendo que somos uno en la totalidad sagrada. Permitamos que todo lo que se haga aquí hoy continúe fluyendo en nuestras vidas como un testimonio vivo de la gracia divina para el beneficio de todos.
And so let's take a moment together. Let the awareness drop inward as we let that prayer and this opening into the field move through us. And in that internal gaze, feel yourself coming into the body temple more fully. Feeling the breath and each breath as the invitation to come fully into this sacred moment, this sacred eternal now that we are sharing together. Feel your gaze being internally at the heart space and breathing there. down into the pelvic bowl, into the sacred womb, and breathing there. And let that gaze go down further into the beloved earth and feeling the oneness that you have with our Earth Mother, letting your body and her body harmonize more fully with the simplicity of your intention and the ease of each breath, feeling that nourishment. Noticing how that brings you into a more centered space and feeling your connection to your own divine light and to the source of that divine light. And in this field that we've invoked together, take a moment and listen. What's here with me today? What wants support? What wants to be known? What's here? And as you're continuing that listening, you'll make a transition to open eyes. As you do, you'll see an image that Nancy's putting on the screen that is this beautiful invitation in. Nancy, it looks like you're sharing your whole desktop instead of just image.
Let's try it again.
Yeah.
How about that?
There we go. And as you're feeling into this image, you're feeling into what's here today, take a moment to let's just put in the chat thread. What are your yearnings today? What are your desires? What are your intentions? Are there any prayers we can hold? Go ahead and take a moment to actually put those in the chat so we can be with them together. What's here today? What came up as you listened?
And if you are listening to this in the recording, know that your intentions, your requests are being held also in the soul field, in this timeless space.
Yeah. This image that we're sharing is the transmission, visual transmission of this new series that we're beginning. Today is the start of a new series. And the series is about activating our true self-worth, living in soul resonance. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so bringing trust, desires to share with beloveds that have crossed over, abundance and health and money, control. These things are in the field today.
Mhm. Hmm. So we'll begin um, with our affirmations. And if you recall um, in previous series, we've used the rubbing of the ears or the thumping of the K27, the front of your chest. And I'm going to share the affirmations. Um, with the I'll start with the first sentence, and you, if possible, repeat out loud after me. Out loud so the voice is projected. And you can tap in the chest or you can rub your ears. I release with grace the cultural imperatives and captivity that cause me to live outside of my authenticity.
I release with grace the cultural imperatives and captivity that cause me to live outside of my authenticity.
I open to the pleasure that arises from this freedom.
I open to the pleasure that arises from this freedom.
I joyfully claim full responsibility for living the power of my I am presence.
I joyfully claim full responsibility for living the power of my I am presence.
As I remember and revere who I truly am, my embodiment encourages others to honor and live their true self-worth.
As I remember and revere who I truly am, my embodiment encourages others to honor and live their true self-worth.
I release with grace the cultural imperatives in captivity that cause me to live outside of my authenticity.
I release with grace the cultural imperatives and captivity that cause me to live outside of my authenticity.
I open to the pleasure that arises from this freedom.
I open to the pleasure that arises from this freedom.
I joyfully claim full responsibility for living the power of my I am presence.
I joyfully claim full responsibility for living the power of my I am presence.
As I remember and revere who I truly am, my embodiment encourages others to honor and live their true self-worth.
As I remember and revere who I truly am, my embodiment encourages others to honor and live their true self-worth. Oh, so good.
Yes. One more time.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
I
get this in
release,
here.
yes, I release with grace the cultural imperatives and captivity that cause me to live outside of my authenticity.
I release with grace the cultural imperatives and captivity that cause me to live outside my authenticity.
I open to the pleasure that arises from this freedom.
I open to the pleasure that arises from this freedom.
I joyfully claim full responsibility for living the power of my I am presence.
I joyfully claim full responsibility for living the power of my I am presence.
As I remember and revere who I truly am, my embodiment encourages others to honor and live their true self-worth.
As I remember and revere who I truly am, my embodiment encourages others to honor and live their true self-worth.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes.
What do you notice? Yeah. Woo! I'm feeling that one. What are people noticing? You want to put it in the chat or give us little gestures? Yep.
Mm.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Ooh, top of head, heart opening.
The energy,
Mm-hmm.
captivity, right? Or
No more.
I know.
This is part of what we're focusing on today in this particular session of this new series about activating true self-worth. And that is releasing the acculturation limits, the things in that we have been trained into that obscure or hide or in some way limit our access to our true soul self, or keep us in a more dull version of that, or a smaller version of that, or a more quiet version of that we really are.
Yeah. In previous series, we've been working on tapping into our magnificence, this energy of who we are. And something that came very clear for us was that if we're not honoring ourselves, if we don't believe we're worthy, we're not going to be able to receive the magnificence of who we are. And so this series is about activating that true worth. It's about falling in love with you. It's about revering who you are as a soul, as a being, instead of thinking, oh, I am a PhD, or I am the daughter of, my family. It's like, I am more than that. I am not just a Venezuelan. I'm more than that. And can I really revere that? Can I really um not accept, but like, can I love my true self?
Yeah.
Sure, I love that I was born in whatever I was born and what I've accomplished, but if I tune into myself and the truth of who I am, do I accept that I am that soul, that I am that spirit? Can
Mhm.
I really live in this true self? Can I live in this spiritual self that I am, you
Mhm.
know? And so part of this recognition is identifying the roles that we have, identifying the way that we were acculturated, the way that we were taught to be a certain way. And so we're going to touch, taking off the layers, we're
Mhm.
going to touch upon different layers
Oh,
exactly
you got it. You
yes,
got it.
in which we have put this blockages or we're obscuring who we truly are, and we're going to start dismantling those things in this series.
I have a little story that's coming up that just like popped in, so I'm going to share it. And I don't remember the exact details of this, but it's a story of this small village. I think somewhere, maybe Tibet, but I'm not 100% sure. But this small village of monks, and they had this very, very large, like way bigger than life size, solid gold Buddha. And there was warring happening in the region, and they were pretty sure that their village was going to come and be pillaged, and this was the most valuable thing. The monks had uh, worshipped with this Buddha for many, many, many years, and so they had the idea to cover it up. And so what they did was they made this like paste with mud and leaves and sticks and whatever, and layer after layer after layer until it just looked like this mud and stick and whatever Buddha. And the war came, and they walked past the Buddhas. Many, many hundreds of years went by, and there was a monk sitting in front of the mud Buddha meditating, and all of a sudden they saw this like little glistening. The story had gotten lost. Nobody knew that there was actually a golden Buddha there. And the monk sort of went over and scratched and realized what was underneath and called all the other monks, and they started taking this off to reveal this golden Buddha. And this is really what we're talking about, remembering all the things in life that have caused us to forget our truly golden nature, and what we can do, and we've done that for good reason. We've put those things on to for protection. We've taken them on because that's how we were taught to be. Somebody said, this is how you're a good girl, this is how you're a good boy, this is what you do to be a good sister or a good, mother or father or student or psychologist or engineer or you know, whatever worker. There's this quality of those things becoming so much that we can't even find or don't even remember our golden
Yeah.
nature, our true self.
And as you are listening to the stories and us talk about this topic, maybe you want to share in the chat, what are some of those acculturations or limits that you have found for yourself? I can feel something in the field, like we are like tripping on our words a little bit, like something is happening there, right? And I want to call on that and bring ease into that. experience, because it's difficult to let go of acculturation. It's difficult to not be who we are anymore and to tap into something else. So what does it mean to be a man or a woman? And in this society, or the way that you were raised, how does that, how has that affected you? So for example, for me, being born a woman in Venezuela, that meant threat, constant threat and constant fear. So I lived in that fear. And it meant, according to my mother, that I had to be subservient to men. And moving to the United States, I changed some of that, but there's still that acculturation that changes the way that I interact with my true self. So share in the chat, as we're talking about this, share a little bit about how maybe your gender, your family, your job, the society around you, finances, your religious upbringing, how everything has influenced you, how it has sort of put that mud over the gold of who you are.
Things like, we can think about like just very basic things. We alluded to our gender. We alluded to, so what are the requirements of man or woman, or requirements of man or woman in certain cultures? We can kind of stagnate into that, like, oh, I'm supposed to be the caring one, or I'm supposed to be the subservient one. I'm supposed to always be the one providing. We can get stuck in those roles.
Yeah.
Birth order can be a part of that, where we were born in the order of siblings, right?
And for me, I grew up Catholic, but also spiritual. We were able to listen to angels and do hands-on healing and have psychic surgeries, but also we went to church every Sunday and prayed, and we had the rosary and all of that. And so there was a lot of different things that were telling me different things about myself, about how I should behave or how I should show up. Um, and I'm the seventh of 9 children. So that also told me how much I could have, how much attention, how many resources, all of those things. And so that created a sense of, well, my resources are limited. And that is so disconnected from my soul self. Soul says there's infinite abundance, there's infinite resources. And so all of those things make an impact on how we perceive ourselves, what we do for others, the way we show up at our work, or in interactions with our true nature, with source, with others.
We can think about, like Nancy speaking about, even sometimes our jobs or our sacred callings. So our vocations or our avocations can impact. There's the way that we are raised. Nancy was alluding to that. And there's a little story I'm thinking of, so Nancy and I've shared before, we were both raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic, I grew up in a very conservative community, Phoenix, Arizona, and in the, 70s and 80s. And so there wasn't understanding of things beyond these sort of like very small scopes. It was a sort of a very heterogeneous culture, et cetera. And when I was 17 and received the message to heal with my hands, I didn't know what that meant, because my religious orientation and the roles of who was supposed to do what, there was no conceptualization of that for me. And so I was afraid. And the only thing I could think of is, and like, so I had seen on TV, like an evangelical healer that would sort of like put their hands on someone's head and like knock them to the ground and say, "You are healed." And I was afraid of that, right? Because it was outside of whatever the constructs were that I had at the time. And it didn't fit in the roles and the rules in my psyche. And so instead of being able to be just like deeply, deeply curious, I was some curious, but I was also a lot afraid and a lot resistant, right? So when we receive those callings or those messages that don't have a place in our cultural orientation, how we've been acculturated and trained to be and perceive and orient and relate, then we can have fear arise. We can have resistance arise.
Yeah. And for me, I was always exposed to those things, but I never thought that that was something that was my soul talking to me. It was more like, yeah, whatever, sure, there's this happening, this other event happening. And it's not until later that I see the clues that the divine has put in my path, and the divine has said, well, experience this, don't forget about this, do this. And in the midst of this all acculturation and confusion that comes from generations, it's not just my mom and dad, it's like my grandparents and great grandparents and all of the generations before me. And I continue to pass down to my daughter all this obscuring of ourselves. um, it's realizing that all along source has been leaving clues. All along source has been giving us what we need for this moment, for this moment of waking up, for this moment of saying, are you ready? Are you ready to do your calling, to
Mhm.
to be who you want to be? And even the journey of becoming a psychologist, when I moved to the States, I was like, whoa, there's nothing like in Venezuela, there's nothing here. Where do I go? I go into psychology, which I love absolutely. Um, that journey was divine because I was able to work with a lot of people, and I still do, and be an inspiration and use my intuition. But in some ways, I also said, I don't want this rigidness. I want more expansion, more of this calling that source is saying, let's go, let's have it. But how do I remove that mud? How do I remove those things? And this is what we are working on today. We're removing it not just from our psyche, but also from our energy, the
Mhm.
constraints, so we can really truly shine our true self and love our true self.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the dictates of profession or licensure, or even sometimes phase of life, like, oh, this is how a child's supposed to behave, and this is how a certain, person of a certain age is meant to be, and here's how person of a certain other age is meant to be. And so there's all these nuances that we're putting inadvertently. And we often develop, in terms of revering and honoring a self, we often develop a reverence for the cultural self, the one that we've been taught to be, whether that be by our family or our teachers or our coworkers or our employers or our colleagues or our family members or even our friends, right? Like we can like, oh, I'm a good so and so, and we can get that sort of like cultural, which we might call personality, ego, cultural self-esteem. But what we're talking about is when we come to the place where we esteem the I am presence, the being, not the thing I'm doing, not the role I'm playing, not the good girl or the good boy. Can I esteem that soul light? And can I give that soul light more play, more permission, more expression, so that that is what's illuminating my way?
Yes. And culturally, we are shifting. We are changing from being this manicure perfect looking thing to a self-expression that is so unique. The internet has helped a lot with that, of course, in being able to just show up authentically and truly. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you're saying, I'm going to show up. And we're not intending to revere or esteem the cultural ideal anymore. It's more of the true self showing up truthfully instead of idolizing false idols. We revere the soul within us, the spirit within us.
The way that we were made, right?
Yes.
The truth of our divinity, the
Mhm.
way that we were literally shaped by the hands of the divine.
Mm.
Right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So what's sparking for people? Put in the chat, what's moving through you as you're sort of sitting with this? I saw some people speaking to taking off layers, behaving so mom or dad would be happy. What else is sparking? What else is sparking alive for you? Anybody noticing any particular ways that you might be sort of revering over here, that cultural self, but not necessarily over here, the isness of your being?
Write it in the chat if possible, so we can hold it for you. And for those in the recording, still write it also in the comments so we can hold it for you if it feels aligned.
Yeah. We're going to do some practices today. One, the practice that's really directly about this work today is a meditation that we're going to do. But what we're going to do first, we have a year-long imperative. Those of you who've been with us know this, to do this infusion that helps us bring the divine into every corner of our lives, like literally letting the divine light shine in every area of our lives. To do this sacred web of life invocation every month for a year. And so this is our 4th month doing it. And so we'll start our meditation with that. I'll speak about it just a little bit. Nancy will put up, are you going to put up on the screen the web? I don't know if you have that planned or not.
No.
No, okay. We've put this up before there's these sort of radiant pieces of the web. Maybe we can stick it in the chat. And there's this spiral that connects those radiant pieces. And we're in the very, very center of that web, and the web will sort of move and spin around us. And the web goes, those radiant pieces and those spiral go as far out as we can imagine. Yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, I have mine too. Let's do that. What's that? And so we've got 2 flames that are making up this sacred web of light, with us very small. We're sort of like the little dot in the center. That's us. And the web would probably go out way beyond this image that we've got here. Yeah, it's just going and going and going. But we've got 2 flames that we'll invoke. And then what we'll do is we'll just stay in that internally referenced space. We'll let the flames work for a moment or so. And then we'll go into the next meditation. And I want to speak about that just briefly. The next meditation is actually a co-creative space where we're going to take you into the theta brainwave pattern via a little journey. And in that space, when we move into theta wave, we move into the space of being in communion, literally being in oneness with Creator. And so while we're there, we can enter into that co-creation. We can co-create with. And so we will actually command a healing. And the healing is going to be twofold. One, that these layers that we've put on can loosen. So we, at least, even if we're not ready to show the whole world, that we at least can see and remember who we really are and begin to revere that more fully. And to that end, we're going to invoke that our self receptors, and I'll speak about what those are in a moment, be tuned to us. So some of you have done self receptor tuning before, and some of you may be new to it. So the self receptors are literally these tentacles on the surface of every cell in our body, and they're like little antenna, not tentacles, they're like little antenna. And the antenna are actually what cause us to be us. It's like we are literally tuned to the frequency. Nancy is tuned to the frequency that she is here to bring. I am tuned to the frequency I am here to bring. Each of you tuned to the frequency that you are here to bring. And so what we're going to do, like through the course of life, those little antenna can Spirit showed us like almost like a transistor radio where the dial can like need to be calibrated, right? Or antennas for the old television need to be calibrated, or you need a like bigger dish to receive the signal, like whatever it is. We want to get that signal loud and clear and have each of our cells really deeply tuned to the fullness of us. And this will help automatically illuminate and start to break some of those constraints of our acculturation off.
Yes. And if for some of you that are listening now or in the recording, you're not familiar with, this terminology, just trust that your soul knows. Your soul is tapped into all of this magic. It knows everything and more than we can ever imagine. So allow yourself to be in that space, to receive this medicine, to receive this healing and this transformation as we move into loving our true self and revering this true self that we are.
Totally. As you're sharing that, Nancy, I'm noticing some things that I just want to speak to that are showing up in the chat in terms of what is moving: suppression of woman's voice, terror and fear embedded, survival structure coming up, needing to hide, needing to obscure the power of voice, of sounding, of the nature of self. We're just like releasing these things, all of us, each of us, learning to be more than just the experience that we've had, learning what it is to live life beyond great loss. And, the kinds of attachments that we can have to our body and to the thoughts. And so we're just like all in this space of the willingness. And with that willingness, we open into meditative space together. We allow the gaze to become internal once again. And in this space, we begin to allow a deepening into the body temple, a settling into the pelvic bowl. This body temple is a place of rest and refuge. And so we let ourselves settle in like we're coming into a nice, soft, cushiony piece of furniture. Come into the body. We come into the breath. We feel the willingness to receive the grace of the flames and geometry that we're about to invoke, to support us in allowing the divine into every corner of our lives, allowing God, grace, source, to shine on every relationship, every role, every piece of our being, every way that we engage with the world, every little nuance of thoughts in our own head. We're literally inviting that grace in everywhere. And so we call forth for the radiant pieces of the web, the flame of ultimate interdimensional wormhole activator, this flame that is vibrant, neon lemony yellow and neon bright blue light. to form those radiant pieces that will come from your body and extend as far as you can imagine into the cosmos. And these radiant pieces are literally opening the portals where connection to grace is needed. And we call forth the flame of ultimate awakening, the flame that's a sparkling indigo rainbow of light, from the very lightest indigo, almost white, to the very darkest indigo, almost black light. And this spiral will form from the very center all the way out, creating the connecting pieces of the web to the very farthest reaches. And as this web of light comes into form for each of us, it will begin to spin around us, literally spinning the web of light, linking us to sacred support, inviting grace into every area of our lives. And we'll allow ourselves to receive this. You may feel that spinning for a moment or two while the body is getting used to that kinetic light moving around and through. And then at some point that will settle. And as you keep that internal gaze, you allow yourself to anchor in with your physical heart, feeling a deepened connection there. This exquisite organ that has literally beat the rhythm of your life from start to finish. When you feel yourself connecting in through the pelvic floor to the earth, soles of feet, palms of hands, backside of body, literally held in this embrace of gravity, sacred embrace, feeling your connection. And this earth connection and this heart connection will support us in returning completely into the body temple after we take a little journey together. And so we're going to journey by bringing all of the awareness and all of the consciousness to the very top of the head. All of the awareness, all of your presence, a couple of inches above the top of the head. Continuing that journey up and out, bringing the awareness, all of your presence about a foot above the top of the head. As you continue journeying and you find yourself about 3 feet above the top of the head, you'll see this beautiful rainbow bridge, or you'll sense or know it, this point of Antakarana. And when you move through that place, you'll begin journeying up and out very quickly, zipping up through all the clouds, up into the higher layers of the Earth's atmosphere. And you keep journeying up and out, and you go all the way past the Earth's atmosphere. And you begin journeying through all the white lights. You're zooming past the stars like warp speed, light speed. And you keep journeying up and out and through all the white lights. And you find yourself in the great darkness, and you keep journeying there, up and out through the great darkness so rapidly And you find yourself in this brilliant white light. It's almost blinding. It's so white, the great white light. And you keep journeying up and out and through the great white light until you start to slow a little bit as you enter into the gel-like substance that holds all the laws of this universe. And you keep journeying up and out through this gel-like substance until you find yourself in this exquisite, soft, iridescent, silvery white light in the space of communion with the source of all creation. And you breathe there in acknowledgement and in a quiet prayer-like fashion, in the words that match for you. You acknowledge this communion. Mother, Father, God, Goddess, Source, Creatrix, Creator. I command a healing on myself, such that anything that's needing to transform or awaken, so that I might live the fullness of joy of that which I am, of my full divine presence. Anything needing to be transformed, for that to happen, be transmuted on all levels, in all dimensions and time spaces. And I command, in service to that my self receptors, those tentacles, antenna on the surface of every cell in my body, be tuned to the highest frequency of me, currently broadcasting in this universe. And I command that anything that would prevent me from receiving that signal strong and loud and clear be transmuted on all levels, in all dimensions and time spaces. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. And with that final "it is done," this wash of violet light comes over, and it's like this stream that carries you down through all the layers, through the gel-like substance, the great white light, the great darkness, the stars, the earth's atmosphere, the point of Antakarana, all the way into the body, washing you into your heart, into your connection with earth, like this slide of violet light that you ride all the way back into your body. And you rest here, allowing that calibration that you have co-created to take place. And as you're allowing, we'll play our song for this series, so you can receive that as you allow the healing and calibration.
We are really excited because we have a retreat coming up, and I know I had to talk about other things first, but I was just so excited to share
Yes.
about the retreat. We are organizing a weekend retreat, Friday, January 17th to the 19th in La Jolla, and it's going to be magnificent. It's just totally in tune with what we've been working here. It's about sort of a resurrection, coming back and taking the soul and really reverence this soul, but like on a whole new level. Lots of really great experiences that we are planning on doing. So we'll send you information about it if you want to book your like a spot, because we only have 8 or 9 spots that we are selecting or that we're opening up to make a container very sacred. So if
We
you
want
think
a
it's a
deep dive.
right away, so we can block your spot,
Yeah.
they'll go fast.
Yeah, it's a residential retreat, so you'll be with us from Friday early in the day. Noon will be the start until Sunday in the evening, probably 6, 7, 8. We don't know exactly when, but so it's a pretty much full 3 days, a little bit less than 3 full days. And so
We'll sleep there, eat there, journey there, go do
we're
retreat there, all
yeah.
together.
When we have been shown, Nancy and I have been shown the energy's coming, and it's really about resurrecting the light body, like really resurrecting that soul energy that we are into
Yeah.
our lives pragmatically.
Yes, yes, yes. I put on the chat the links to our Facebook group, which is Soul Feel, also our YouTube channel, where we put all the recordings for those that want to watch it again or want to send it to someone, is YouTube at Soulfield Experience, our Instagram account, Soulfield, and our website as well. In the website, you can actually go and schedule the Soulfield so you don't miss them. There's a section there. If you go to soulfield.org, you'll be able to see calendar, and you can just add every Soulfield, every event to your calendar so you don't miss it. And we also have a PayPal donation for those that have been contributing. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Part of your donations are actually going to help people who would like to participate in our events like the retreat. We can do partial scholarships and can help us support the people that would like to attend but don't have the means, or just tithe in general. So thank you so, so, so much for your donations.
Mhm.
Yeah, so save the day, January 17th to the 19th.
Yeah, more will be coming later this week. So
Yes, 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 yes. So we're gonna close with our prayers.
we are deeply grateful to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each in our own way will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another and all our angels, guides, and guardians. Remembering as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we've co-created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings.
Estamos profundamente agradecidos por esta experiencia milagrosa de comunión con nuestro ser sagrado aquí en el campo del alma. De todo corazón recibimos la comunión de cada uno de nosotros y de la luz de nuestra alma divina. Al culminar formalmente esta congregación, cada uno de nosotros, de manera personal, permaneceremos en el campo del alma, apoyando nuestra evolución colectiva. Con profunda humildad, agradecemos el uno al otro y a nuestros ancestros, ángeles, guías y guardianes de luz, recordando que cuando predicamos con nuestro ejemplo, nos elevamos el uno al otro y alentamos la magia que acabamos de co-crear para que se expanda a todos para el beneficio de la humanidad. So let's blow out our candles and close the circle. And whatever you need to leave there in the Temple of Divine Perfection, that can stay there. If you want to take some things back, you're welcome to. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, beloveds. Such a blessing to be with you all live and to be with you in the eternal now via recording. We thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Mhm.